Okay. So here's what we're going to try to do. The unit that we're going to be learning. I really want everybody's full attention because I put a lot of effort into this. I'd like everybody. So Mauricio, I'd like you facing me, and Yedida, I want you facing me. Elon, I want your full attention. Okay. Jaime, if you could turn to me, and David, if you could not look at your phone while I'm talking. So what we're going to be doing is the unit that we're going to be learning this week is one of the toughest that you're going to face both in the political realm and on the college campus, which is the I don't know what you want to call it, the accusation against Israel that we mistreat Palestinians. Okay. That the Palestinians in the West Bank, who are not Israeli citizens, because Israel never made the West Bank, the Judea and Samaria, part of Israel, that they are mistreated by Israel. So, like, for instance, checkpoints are abusive, and roads are separate, and Palestinians live in poverty because Israel won't allow them the economic freedom, and they don't have freedom of movement. So all of these accusations are leveled against Israel. How many people here believe, just show of hands, how many people here believe that Israel does have abusive policies against the Palestinians? Okay, so we got one brave soul that raised their hands. Okay, how many people here have heard that Israel has abusive policies against the Palestinians? Okay, how many people here could defend with proof that Israel doesn't have abusive policies against the Palestinians? Okay, here's the problem. It's very hard to disprove a negative. Okay, so it's very hard to say, well, they're not abusive or the roads aren't separate unless you see them yourself, right? So last year, what I did for a non-for-profit in New York is I took 1,000 American students studying in Israel on 30 different trips to areas in Judea and Samaria in the West Bank on a 6-hour bus ride, like a bus tour type thing, and showed them different spots and showed them how Israel doesn't abuse Palestinians, how that's just not true. And then showed them proof positive. Here you go. Look, here it is. Not that I taught them, and then I would teach that similar class every year here in Hillel on video from my house. And like I'd be telling you, oh, well, if you were here, you'd see this, and then you'd know that there's no abuse going on. But like you're not here, so you're just trusting me. So then what are you going to do when you get to the college campus? You're going to be like, oh, well, I know that like my teacher told me, my pro-Israel advocacy teacher told me that there's no abuse. So like, what does that do for you? That does absolutely nothing. So you really have to see this. Now, what I would love is like to take you guys here. I would love to be able to show you like on a trip. Now, obviously coming from America, that's a little difficult to fly the entire class to Israel for a one-day field trip, right? So that doesn't work. And I would love to take the 9th graders on their trip, but Ofer has his own plans. So that doesn't work either. So I was thinking over Shabbat, like, how am I going to teach this course and this unit in a better way? And I say, you know what? What happens if I just drove there and walked around? Like, would this really work? So I spoke to Dr. Baruch last night and to Mr. Johnson and Rabbi Green, and I said, listen, this could work. I don't know if it's gonna work in terms of the logistics, in terms of the technicalities. Would like Zoom work on data and not on Wi-Fi, or I use a hard line when I'm at home? And would it work like in the area that we're in? Will my phone last? Like, how's this all gonna work out? So I'm gonna try it. So I drove out here. This was about 20 minutes from my house, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna take you to 3 different spots. And I'm going to show you 3 different areas, and hopefully this will work, that you'll be able to see for yourselves. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to see a checkpoint at a place called Hizmeh. Then I'm going to take you to the wall. They always talk about the apartheid wall. I'm going to take you to the wall. It's like right in front of me, actually, here. You can see here. Let me see how to do this. Can you guys see the wall there?
Oh, Rabbi.
Okay. So that's the wall, and then I'm going to take you to an intersection where you'll be able to see a highway where Palestinians and Israelis are driving, and then to a Palestinian village. Okay, so that's hopefully those are our goals. Whether we'll accomplish them or not, we'll see. And then you'll be able to ask questions as we're walking around. Now, there's a couple things that could go wrong. The first thing that could go wrong is the data will fail and we won't have reception. Second thing that can go wrong is my phone will overheat, right? I have an iPhone, so I don't know. That usually happens sometimes. That could happen. Third thing that can happen is technically you're allowed, it's legal to film here, but soldiers sometimes get a little like uptight when they see people filming. So soldiers could come over to me and be like, what are you doing? And then I could have to spend like 10, 15 minutes explaining to them, right? So those are the things that could go wrong. Hopefully they won't. And we'll give it a shot. Does anyone have any questions before we begin? Okay. I want you guys to see where I am. So everybody take out your phones. I sent you 3 maps this morning. So I want you to look at map number 1 right now. Now, I can't look at the maps while I'm on with you, so I'm just going to do them by memory. But do you guys have, well, everybody has map number 1?
Is highlighting Gaza and the West Bank.
It's right. So, okay, right. Yeah, now I know the maps. Okay. So we're looking at the West Bank is the larger area on the right side. Okay. Now, if you look, you see where the West Bank dips in? Like there's a dip in the middle? Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's Yerushalayim. Half of Yerushalayim, the west side, is on like the non-West Bank side, and the east side, ironically, is on the West Bank side. Okay. Where I'm sitting right now is on the eastmost side of Yerushalayim. I'm at the border of Yerushalayim and the start of the West Bank. Okay? Go to the map number 2 now. Do you guys see map number 2?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you see Yerushalayim is there now? Yeah? You guys see Yerushalayim on the map?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Everybody has this. Is anybody not looking at map number 2 now? Okay, everybody's looking at map number 2. Okay, great. Now go to map number 3. Okay, map number 3 is like a screenshot of the Google Maps I took of my location now. So if you're going north in Yerushalayim, there's a couple different checkpoints. There are 4 different checkpoints from Yerushalayim, from the West Bank into Jerusalem. Okay, this is the second to the most north one. So like if you're going up in Israel, and you're on the east side of Yerushalayim, you'd be going through this checkpoint here called Hizmeh. It's called Hizmeh because Hizmeh is the name of the Arab village that's right here. Okay? So it's called the Hizmeh checkpoint. Now, when it comes to checkpoints, not all checkpoints are the same. Some are walking checkpoints, some are driving checkpoints. This is more of a driving checkpoint. Okay? There's more drivers, more cars going through here. Okay? And I'm going to now go with you and explain to you, and you'll be able to see what's going on. Okay, everybody ready?
Ready.
Okay, here we go. Okay, now taking the phone out. Now put it on I brought a tripod, so I don't have to like hold the phone the entire time. Okay, you guys can still see me? It's a little, oh wait, hold on. Hold on 1 second. I want to put a phone case on. Oh no. Okay, whoops. Okay.
We're in a magic school. The magic school. I'm sorry.
I hope you guys realize how cool this is.
Saquon is a school bus. He's that big.
He's a school bus with a nickel.
Uh-oh. Okay, you guys can see me now, right?
Yes.
Okay, now it's very sunny out. I'm going to put on my hat. Okay, I'm turning off the car. Let's make sure this is securely in. It feels like it is. Oh, no. Okay. It was not secure. Okay. There we go, folks. Okay. Now, let's see here. Okay. Now, at the active,
Turn on the light.
You, Andre, turn off the
can you guys see okay? Okay, now you guys have to stop talking so you can hear me. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Okay, now, What you're looking at here, okay, this is a checkpoint. This is Hizmeh. Coming from here, this is Yerushalayim. Do you guys see Jerusalem in front of us?
Yes.
I need you guys to answer. Yeah, okay. So that's the neighborhood called Pisgat Zev. Pisgat Zev is the easternmost neighborhood of Yerushalayim. Okay, the Jewish neighborhood of Yerushalayim. These cars that are coming down now are coming from Jerusalem into the West Bank. That's the West Bank, that side. That's Judea and Samaria. Okay? So here's the bus stop here. You see a girl getting on the bus. Okay? And now what you have is here is you have a checkpoint for the cars when the bus leaves to be able to see. Okay? This is for the cars coming from Judea and Samaria. Okay? If you guys can see. Can you guys see the cars coming from Judea and Samaria?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. So the cars coming from Judea and Samaria go in, and they get checked at this checkpoint. Okay. Now this checkpoint has like 3 lanes. Okay, and the cars come in. Now not every car gets stopped. You can see there's a car over there that's stopped. Okay, and you see there's soldiers here, but most cars will be allowed through. It's only cars that the soldiers are suspicious of. Okay, so if the soldier is now, what's the soldier suspicious of? He's not suspicious so much of weapons, but what he's suspicious of is if a Palestinian who's not an Israeli citizen wants to come from over here and come into this side, okay, they need a permit. The permits are given out monthly. There are over 100,000 permits given out every single day. Okay, there are 100,000 permits given out every single day, and they are. Those Palestinians are allowed to come into Israel and work. Okay, so that's about a quarter of the Palestinians that are eligible to work, meaning like men of workable age, get a permit. Okay, now the soldiers here are going to check to make sure that they have permits when they come in. Okay, but if the soldier doesn't think that let's say a soldier thinks that the person is Jewish, or if they're an Israeli Arab, if the Arab lives on this side, on the Jerusalem side, then they don't need a permit, and they're allowed to come and go as they please. Okay, and no one needs a permit to go into the West Bank because we don't care if anybody goes in there. We're worried about people that don't have a permit that are able to come into Jerusalem, and that would be a problem. Okay, so they're going to check. Now, what we'll do is we'll wait here to see while they check somebody, and that way you can see that they're not going to be abusive. Right now, I haven't checked out like the soldiers. I haven't told them that I'm coming. So whatever's going to happen here is going to happen. And you'll see how they check somebody. They basically just ask for an ID. And then they get their ID. So you just have to wait till they stop somebody. Okay, and then we'll see. Okay. While we're waiting, if anybody has any questions, so I guess maybe Dr. Baruch, if you can help out and just like call on these people, because I can't call on them. Okay, this soldier's gonna come over and talk to me now to see. אני בשידור חי, guys, can you raise the light so you can see? ותיכוניסטים במיאמי, אני מלמד אותם. אסור לצלם פה. אסור? אבל תמיד מצרים לי, לא? אני רק רוצה להראות להם את האוטו הזו שפותחים אותה. אסור? אני רוצה להראות להם שאנחנו לא עושים שום דבר נורא. לא? אוקיי, טוב, אז אני אלך לשם. אוקיי, טוב, אז אני עומד פה ככה. טוב, תרגמה. אוקיי, so he doesn't want me, okay, אני רק אדבר איתו. Okay, so, אני אעשה את זה. That's all right. Okay, so he doesn't want me filming here. He gets a little nervous that I'm filming here. It's actually perfectly legal, and I could fight him on it, but like I'm gonna lose because he's got the bigger gun. But what I'll do is like this. So this way you guys can still see. So if you can see behind me now, what you can see if you guys have to tell me if he's coming back, okay? That way I can if you guys see how they're checking the cars? I can't see them checking the cars now. You can lower the lights, by the way, if it helps you see better. Okay, but you guys see how what they're going to do is they're just checking IDs. There's no abuse going on. Soldiers are very polite. They're not now. Does that mean that there's never abuse? right? It doesn't mean that there's never abuse, right? Sometimes there's abuse. I'm just moving around so that they'll think that I'm actually like fully right. But there's never. It doesn't mean that there's never abuse. Every once in a while, like, these are 18 to 19-year-old soldiers. The soldier that just came over to me was maybe 21. His beard made him look a little older, but he's maybe 20, 21 years old, and he's like probably one of the commanders of the area here. So if you take an 18-year-old and you stick him in the sun all day long, and you have everybody that screams at him and abuses him and calls his mother names, and then somebody pushes him, so every once in a while, soldier's going to lose it. The difference between whether or not that's like state-sanctioned abuse and whether it's a soldier going out is what happens to that soldier. If that soldier gets rewarded for abusing a Palestinian, then you know that soldier is getting rewarded, and that's the policy that the state sponsors that, and the state promotes abuse. But if the state isn't going to reward him, rather the state's going to punish him, which is what happens, then you know that that's against the law, and that's exactly what happens. Okay, so everybody understands. So what you're going to see here is there's no abuse going on, and any soldier that does every once in a while lose his cool and abuses somebody, their military career is over immediately, but they could also go to jail, okay, because that's not allowed. Okay, does anyone have any questions before I move on to the next stop? No? Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to flip the camera now. Oh, no, actually, I'm going to keep it. Okay. So now we're going to go, and I'm going to walk now to the border of the, okay, so you guys can see here is the wall. Okay, now what's interesting about the wall, you guys see the wall here? Wait, oh no, you don't see the wall because you're looking backwards. Yeah, sorry. Okay, now here's the wall. Okay, so here's,
Wow.
okay, so in front of us is the wall. Do you see how there's a break in the wall?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you guys see there's a break? Okay, so the break is the border. Okay, the break here, this is the border of Yerushalayim, of Israel. This is like Israel's border right here. Okay, so this is the border between Jerusalem and the West Bank right here. Okay, and this wall is what they call what our critics call the apartheid wall, because they say this separates between Jews and Arabs and creates an apartheid. Okay, now it doesn't actually create an apartheid for a very simple reason. Okay, I live on the wrong side of the wall. So if the wall was separating between Palestinians and Jews or Arabs and Jews and creating an apartheid-like thing, then I would have to be on this side of the wall. I'm not, and neither are like about 300,000 other Jews are on the quote-unquote wrong side of the wall. So that right away destroys the whole argument of that it's an apartheid wall. Okay, people say that this is a de facto border. In other words, what Israel did was it created a border because the wall doesn't go around the West Bank; it goes within the West Bank. Okay, so I don't know what this guy's doing. Okay, this is not an area where you're allowed to pull over. Okay. So I have no idea. These are not friendly. So in any case, here the border. This is the border here. Okay, the border here is a what's it called? The border here, the wall doesn't go along the border of the West Bank. It goes within the West Bank. So the people are saying that this border. Wait, guys, I hear people talking. So I don't know if that means that you have questions. If you have questions, you should stop me. Okay, so what you have is this wall. Okay, doesn't go within the West Bank. Okay, the wall. It doesn't go on the borders of the West Bank. It goes within Judea and Samaria. It goes in the West Bank. So that means that what people criticize is that it's setting up a de facto border that's not along the 67 lines that the international community wants. Okay, that's false. Also, Israel didn't create a border, and most of the wall, 95% of the wall, is actually just fence. Right here at the openings, it's wall, but later on down below, I'll show you that it turns into fence. Okay. So that's the idea. Now, why was this wall constructed? What was the purpose of this wall? Right? So in the early 2000s, there was the second intifada. Okay? Now, what's amazing is that you guys were not born during this time, and that anybody that I'm talking to right now, excluding the two wonderful educators in the back of the room, right, can't ever remember a time waking up in the morning and hearing the news that there was a suicide bombing on a bus. Okay, when I was my gap year in Israel, about once every 2 or 3 weeks, a bus was blown up by Palestinian terrorists. And they were bringing their weapons in from over there, from inside the West Bank. They're bringing the explosives into Israel and then blowing buses up within Israel. They weren't doing it in the West Bank. They were doing it in Yerushalayim. They're doing it in Tel Aviv. They're doing it all over Israel. Okay, that's what they were. That was the problem. So Israel had to figure out a way to stop the terrorists from coming in. And what they did was they created these walls where terrorists could no longer come into Israel. Now, what's amazing is I once debated a member of Hamas about this, and he said, no, it's not true. The wall did nothing for Israel's security. Immediately, once the wall was built, there was no more suicide bombers. Okay, so when I brought this up to the member of Hamas, when he was telling me about the apartheid wall and how unjust it is, so I said to the member of Hamas, I don't understand, give me a break. Like, we put the wall up, and there were no more bombings. So how could you say that the wall didn't do its purpose, and that purpose wasn't to set up a system by which terrorists can come in? And he said, no, it was a coincidence. Right at the time that Israel put up the wall, Hamas made a strategic decision to no longer blow up buses. I say, you got to be kidding me! Like, no one's going to believe that. That's ridiculous. You guys want to kill as many Jews as possible. Why would you just automatically stop blowing up buses? Something that was very effective beforehand. So that's the purpose of this wall. And anyone that tells you otherwise, right, tells you that the wall is an apartheid wall, it's absolutely the number one answer to that is that, well, first of all, there are Jews on the quote-unquote wrong side of the wall, so that makes no sense to call it an apartheid wall. And number two, it was built for security, and it actually worked. It stopped all the bus bombings. Okay? Anyone have any questions before we go on? No? We're good?
Rabbi, just tell you Mr.
Yeah.
Johnson is here now. We just welcome him.
Hello, Mr. Johnson. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay. Good to hear you. I can't see because the lights are off, but okay, we're going to go on. So no one has any questions?
No.
Everyone's understanding this?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go on now to the next stop. We're going to walk. Now we're walking over the border from Jerusalem. Okay, here's the actual, you can see here's the fence up close. Okay, that's the wall. And we're going to go now into the West Bank, into Judea and Samaria. So you can see all of a sudden, like it changes from city, right, into desert terrain. Okay, because now we're in the Judean desert. It literally starts like right here. Okay, and you see this massive sign in front of us that says Binyamin?
No.
So you don't see that? Okay, you got that was the army honking. Everybody feels like they got to honk at you. Okay, so it's probably because I'm a good-looking guy. That's probably what it is. But in any case, so you guys don't see this massive sign in Hebrew that says Binyamin with the picture of a wolf?
No.
Well, now you won't because the bus is blocking. How do you not? Okay, hold on a second. You don't see this right here?
Where?
Rabbi, we're looking at the back.
Right in front of us. You're not looking at me, right?
Oh, in the middle of the circle.
I see it.
I see a dog.
It's very blurry, Rabbi.
I'm like, how could you miss it? Okay, so Binyamin, okay, Israel is split into regions. A lot of the regions are actually split along the same lines. Okay, you see these Arab girls waving at you. Okay, so are actually split along the same line as the tribes are split up biblically. So this was the area of the tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of Binyamin. So that's what this is. This is the start of the Benjamin region. Okay. Now, what you have here is, okay, there's three things I want to go through with you here. Okay. The first thing is that people will tell you that there are separate roads for Jews and Palestinians. So if you look at this car happening right here, okay, so that's a Palestinian driver because you can see he has white license plates. We're talking about the difference in the white license plates in a minute. White license plates are Palestinians. Yellow license plates are Israelis. Now, it's not a difference between Arabs and Jews because there are 2 million Arab Israelis who have yellow license plates. Okay, but it means there's a difference between Palestinians, and you can see, by the way, one thing I want to point out to you: late model SUV, really luxury Mercedes, both Palestinian cars. Okay, all the luxury cars you're going to see driving by here are going to be Palestinian cars. Okay, so here you have Palestinians and Israelis, both share, or Arabs and Jews, both sharing the road. There is none. This is one of the bigger intersections in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria. And you have, here's a Palestinian truck driving up to us, right? You can see that he has a white license plate, and a Palestinian Mercedes coming at us, okay? And then right in front of us here, you have yellow license plates of either Israeli Jews or Israeli Arabs. So this whole idea that there are separate roads for Jews and Palestinians, where does that come from? So in the city of Hebron, there are 3 streets that make up less than 2% of the total streetage in Hebron. Those are for Israelis only, not Jews only, but Israelis only, meaning that an Israeli Arab would be allowed to drive on that, but a Palestinian Arab would not. What our detractors like to say is that that's a model for the entire West Bank. That the entire West Bank doesn't have roads that Jews and Palestinians can both drive on. So right here we see that that's completely not true. This is the road. You can see that's a Palestinian truck. That road goes down to the Dead Sea and to my house. This road, well, I'll tell you in a second when this truck goes by. This road going up goes to the northern, to the Shomron. So you have Judea down this way, and the Samaria Shomron going up that way. Okay, so that's the way you can see. I don't know if you can read the sign, but the sign over there says that's the way to Ramallah. Okay, and to the Jewish cities of Eli and Beit El and Shiloh. And this is the way down to Jericho, Mali Adumim, the Dead Sea, Masada. Okay, that's the road. Down there. Okay. Okay, so that's all cool. Look at this. This is such a cool truck. Myth number 2: Palestinians live in squalor, and they have a high poverty rate, and they're not able. They're not able to get out of their poverty because Israel has policies which don't allow them to get out of their economic squalor, and they have no economic opportunity. So right in front of us, can you guys see the city in front of us? Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
You see there's a city here? Yeah? Okay. So this city is the Palestinian village of Hizmeh. Okay? This is a pure Palestinian village. It's Area A. We'll explain what those areas are later in the year. But this is Area A, so it's completely under Palestinian control. Okay? And it is completely, if you look at it, not poverty-stricken at all. You can see the houses are very nice. Some of the apartments are actually pretty beautiful. Okay? And this is not an area stricken by poverty. In fact, if you look up the poverty rates, you guys see the tall tower over there? Can you guys see that tower? Are you guys there?
Yeah.
Am I talking? Can you see the tower?
No.
Okay. Off in the distance is a tower. I don't know how to zoom while I'm on this thing. But off in the distance is a tower. That's a minaret from a mosque. Okay. But in any case, so you have this whole village here, not stricken by poverty. And if you look up the stats, you would see that Israel proper and Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, you'd see that the Palestinian and Jewish / Israeli poverty rates hover around within the same 3 to 4%. So the whole idea that Palestinians live in squalor, in tents, and in shacks, while Jews live in fancy buildings, you can now see with your own eyes is completely not true. Here you have a regular Palestinian village. This isn't known as a wealthy Palestinian village. This isn't like the Palestinian village that we show everybody. Look how nice it is. There's a regular Palestinian village, and the people do not live in squalor whatsoever, nor does the average Palestinian Arab. Okay? So that's completely not true. Lastly, okay, the last thing I want to show you is the license plates. Okay, so before I showed you how you can see there are yellow license plates and there are white license plates. Okay, the Palestinians have white license plates that have a P and the Arabic letter for Palestine, for Palestine. Okay, and the Israelis have here, you can see right here's an Israeli, they have yellow license plates. Okay, so you have yellow license plates and white license plates. I was once close to somebody. I'm still close with him, but he doesn't work in the White House anymore. He worked for the Obama administration, and he was a Jewish advisor to President Obama. Okay, here you can see, by the way, here comes a car with a Palestinian license plate. So he worked for, and here's another one, and another one, and another one. He works for for President Obama. He's an advisor for President Obama. And he said, I got to tell you, as a Jew, I'm embarrassed that the Jewish state does the same exact thing to Palestinians what the Nazis did to the Jews. And I was like, Lord, so what are you talking about? We don't do anything like what the Nazis did to the Jews. Well, I mean, how could you say such a thing? He said, well, the Nazis made us wear yellow stars. Okay, they pinned us with yellow stars, and the Jews, right, and the Jews have to wear these yellow stars to identify themselves. In Israel, we make Palestinians have license plates with a P on them that say Palestinian, and that shows that we're doing the exact same thing. We're discriminating against them. So I said, I can't believe you actually think that, especially somebody in your position who should know better, right? Because the reason why Palestinians have their own license plates is because under the Oslo Agreement, the Palestinians wanted to have autonomy, not over their own cities, but over their own government and civil services. And what they did was they asked Israel if they could issue their own license plates and their own driver's license and their own Department of Motor Vehicles. And that's what they wanted to have. And Israel granted them that autonomous right. So you're taking something that we gave the Palestinians as their own autonomous right as something that we gave in on and as part of the Oslo process, and now turning that on us and saying that that's discriminatory and we're practicing racism. So that's ridiculous. You can't say that because it's patently false. So that's the fifth myth that I wanted to go through with you. So let's review here, okay? Let's review and let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Here we go. Okay, now you should be looking at me. Okay, so let's review the 5 myths that we saw. Excuse me. The first myth that we saw was that the Palestinians, that checkpoints are abusive. Okay, now Palestinians complain about checkpoints, and we'll talk about this more as we go on. Palestinians complain about checkpoints because they believe that this is their land, and they believe that there should be no border here, and they believe that they should be able to cross into Jerusalem whenever they want. And the mere sight of an Israeli soldier telling them that they can't travel where they want to annoys them. Well, that's part of the two-state solution. That's part of the United Nations giving Israel control over their own land, is that there's going to be a border. So if you're one of these people that don't believe in borders and think that you should be able to cross any border whenever you want, okay, so then there's no defense that we're going to be able to give, because yes, we believe in borders. If you believe in borders, so then you have to understand that what's behind me right now is an actual border. That's an actual border. And you can't come along and say that Palestinians should be able to cross the border with no problem, because Palestinians have proven themselves, not every Palestinian is a terrorist, but Palestinians have proven themselves that they do conduct terror acts. I think it's 72% of Palestinians are in favor of violent resistance against Israel. If that's the truth, so then yeah, we're going to have to do security checks at our borders, and we're not going to let every single person in. If you have a connection to a terrorist organization, somebody in your family is a member of a terrorist organization or conducted a terrorist act, then yes, we're not going to give you a permit to come into Israel. And if you're a former terrorist, then of course we're not going to give you a permit to come into Israel. If you're not, then yes, you can apply for a permit. And like I said, we give out 100,000 permits every month to allow Palestinians to come in every single day. So 100,000 Palestinians cross this border. So it's not like it's a closed border that Palestinians can't go through. They can. That was myth number 1. Any questions on myth number 1?
Should we be taking notes, Rabbi?
No, it's okay. Maybe we'll go over this or something. I don't know. But let's focus more on what's happening in front of us now. Okay. Myth number 2. Okay. Myth number 2 was the security fence. Okay. That the security fence is an apartheid wall and is built in order to discriminate against Arabs. We show that that's not true for 2 reasons. Number 1, there are Jews on the quote-unquote wrong side of the apartheid wall. Okay, and number 2, it was built clearly for security reasons, right? We had security issues with suicide bombers coming in, and lo and behold, when we built the wall, it stopped all suicide bombers from coming in. So that shows that it was built for security purposes, and it actually accomplished what it was set out to do. Okay, it didn't build a border, as we know, because Israel hasn't used the security fence as a border. Any questions on the security fence? No? Okay. Myth number 3 that we talked about was the idea of roads being discriminatory, where you have Jew-only roads. And we showed that that's not true, as we stood here at this intersection and showed how Jews and Palestinians drive on the same roads. If any of you have driven to the Dead Sea before, gone to the Dead Sea or gone to Masada, which I assume almost everybody in the room has done, so you've driven on a road that is shared by Palestinians and Jews. And we explained that the only place that there are roads that only Jews can go on, actually there are none that only Jews can go on, there are roads that only Israelis can go on, but that includes the 2 million Israeli Arabs, are 3 or 4 roads in Hebron, which are the minority of the roads in Hebron. It's like 98% of the roads in Hebron are actually forbidden for Jews to go on, okay? But there are no discriminatory roads. Myth number 4, was the idea of Palestinians living in poverty and how they live in squalor. Okay, so we said that that's not true, that Palestinians don't live in squalor, as we showed a Palestinian village, just an average Palestinian village, clearly isn't in poverty and not in squalor. Okay, myth number 4, number 5, was the difference between license plates and how that difference isn't built on discrimination, but rather on giving Palestinians autonomy over their own lands. Good?
Good.
Okay, that's what I wanted to show you here. I'm going to start walking back to my car. What time is it now?
Rabbi, hey, it's great.
Yes.
I have a question for you. That wall,
Sure.
How big is it? How long is that wall?
The wall here, I'm gonna flip. I'm gonna show you. Hold on 1 second. I can't show you the whole wall, obviously. Here's the wall. You can see as the wall goes down. Can you guys see all the way down where the wall curves? Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
And then you see it continues, and then it ends. Can you guys see where it ends and it turns into fence? I mean, I don't know if you'll be able to see where it turns into fence, but you'll see it ends. It's actually fence. So that goes all the way through Judea and Samaria. Goes all the way through the West Bank. It doesn't go on the borders of the West Bank. Okay, it goes all the way through the West Bank in areas where they've determined that on one side is where the terrorists were coming from, and the other side their terrorists were not coming from.
And all right, I have another question. So, like, imagining before the wall was built, how were people sneaking across? Were they like literally walking across with some bombs in their backpack at night, or were they? Yeah,
that's exactly what they would do. They would strap a suicide vest to themselves. They would wear a suicide vest. They would cross into Jerusalem. They would get on a bus. They'd wait till the bus was crowded, and then they'd blow themselves up in the middle of Jerusalem.
I see. So it's okay.
Or Tel Aviv.
Really long wall, and okay, so it's all right. Thank you.
Yeah, it built the wall and 0 suicide bombing since the wall was built. Now, so okay. Any other questions, guys? No more questions. Okay. So I'm gonna walk back to my car and do the rest of the class from my car. We're gonna go you'll see the checkpoint behind me in a minute. Can somebody tell me what time is it now?
45.
It's 8:45.
8:45. Perfect. Okay. So we got enough time. That's great. Okay. So this worked well, no, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. I would show you. I'm walking by the checkpoint now. I would show you, but then these guys are gonna get like really upset. In fact, there's a guard like coming at me right now.
Oh my God, Rabbi.
In front of me. He's like waiting to yell at me. אני לא מתלונן. לא, שם. אני מגיע, האוטו שלי שמה, ואני גם מתקיים איתו. תודה. Okay. Okay. Okay, you guys can see the checkpoint behind me now.
You know, it's crazy in Arizona to have like similar checkpoints and walls and things like that. That's why I was asking the questions, because it's like the same as Arizona. Literally, people in the middle of the night, you know, just walking across. I was wondering if it's like a similar. I mean, obviously different motivation, but a similar situation where it's like, you know, you'd think, are people literally just walking across in the middle of the night, or is this like it's a small wall?
The big joke in Israel is that is like how they try to make a similarity between like President Trump's wall and the Israeli wall, and they have actually nothing in common whatsoever. Okay, could you guys turn the lights on so I can see you guys? All right. There we go.
Yeah, that was a big difference.
Okay.